But the true brilliance of this bridge is how it overcame the enormous challenges of building here. Challenges so mind-boggling, they stumped engineers for decades. Top of the list, earthquakes. Other bridges have been built in earthquake zones, but this bridge must cross an active seismic fault line. And it gets worse. The water here is extremely deep, 200 feet. No bridge anywhere had been built with foundations this deep. It would take a daring plan to overcome these hurdles. April 1996, the only link across the Gulf of Corinth is ferry boat. In perfect weather, it takes 45 minutes. A bridge would reduce that to 5. So for decades, the Greek government had solicited new bridge designs. Nothing ordinary could succeed. Yet designers' options are limited. Virtually all bridge designs are based on just 4 bridge types: beam, arch, suspension, and cable stayed. Choosing the right starting design is crucial. The main criterion is length. The Rion-Antirion Bridge must be 1 1/3 miles long. The longest bridges in the world are beam bridges. But this design would be a disaster in the Gulf of Corinth. The flat road spans must be supported from below, every few hundred feet. The hundreds of support piers would block major ship traffic. It is a non-starter. An arch bridge can stay clear of huge ship traffic, but to span the Gulf of Corinth would require an arch bridge 4 times bigger than ever built before. It is too risky. Another dead end. A suspension bridge can leap the farthest of any design. Enormous cables stretch from one shore to the other. Shorter cables hang down from the main cables to hold the roadway. But all these steel cables make suspension bridges expensive. Billions of dollars. Greece cannot afford to build one. Suspension is out. This leaves only one option: a cable-stayed design. Here there are no expensive main cables. Instead, the smaller cables hang directly from towers. But no cable-stayed bridge ever built could survive the demands of the Gulf of Corinth. The most promising plan comes from a French company, Vinci. Vinci's design would attempt to build the world's longest continuously suspended road span. It would require 4 consecutive towers, something never before tried. A 7,000-foot roadway would hang from the giant towers. This means the towers would bear the entire weight of the bridge. To support this enormous weight, the towers must be planted on extremely solid ground. Researchers probe the sea bottom for bedrock. At 50 feet, there is only silt, sand, and clay. 300 feet, still no solid ground. There is no bedrock even 1,500 feet deep. It is a major setback. They cannot build record-setting bridge towers without sturdy ground to support them. During earthquakes, the loose seabed here liquefies. Towers could tilt and destroy the bridge. Vinci's plan will not work. So Vinci engineers return to the drawing board and emerge with an even bolder plan. Their idea? Strengthen the sea bottom by embedding 100-foot-long metal cylinders, hundreds of them under each tower. In an earthquake, the pipes should hold the soil firm. It has never been tried. No one even knows exactly how to do it. But the plan is convincing, and Vinci wins the contract. Vinci should be careful what they wish for. Every step brings a new challenge. And the Greek government imposes a big one. The bridge must be completed in 5 years, or the builders must pay huge financial penalties. Summer 1999. Construction begins. The team's first hurdle? Invent a machine to install the soil reinforcement pipes. Each pipe is a massive 100 feet long and 6 feet wide. They need to drive the pipes with precision, so they need a floating platform that is perfectly steady. At normal depth, the builders could use a 4-legged barge. The legs extend to the seabed and hold the barge steady against current and waves. That is impossible in the Gulf of Corinth. The seabed is too soft, and the legs would not reach the deep bottom. So engineers here invent another first. They start with a barge called Lisa. Crews remove the legs and replace them with enormous chains. Each chain gets an anchor made of concrete slabs, 1.5 million pounds worth. Crews sail the barge into position, lower the anchors, then pull the chains tight. Now the barge is held rock steady. Having a stationary platform is only the first half of the puzzle. How do you guide the massive pipes through 200 feet of water? With precision. To do it, workers must fit Lisa with an enormous frame. The frame holds a guide tube that moves to exact locations using GPS. To pick up one of the pipes requires a hydraulic hammerhead, big enough to host a poker game. A crane moves the hammerhead and pipe to the guide tube. Even at the surface, it is hard to maneuver the 6-foot wide pipe into position. They need to thread it into the guide ring. Now the pipe must be rammed into the seabed. The hydraulic hammer delivers 160,000 pounds of force with each blow. The pipes might strengthen the seabed, but they create a new problem. The towers have to rest on a perfectly flat surface. Builders must add a layer of gravel 10 feet thick. But how do you smooth an enormous pile of gravel that is 200 feet under the water?
You cannot send people diving at that depth without a lot of care. They cannot stay very long. They cannot work very much. So you forget it. This is not the way.
So the engineers perfect a different system. They use the guide tube. Operators place the bottom of the guide tube exactly where they want the top of the gravel. Then they pour the gravel into the pipe. As they move the pipe, the gravel pours out at the exact level. Sonar scans show the gravel level is accurate to plus or minus 2 inches. While the seabed is strengthened and leveled, the construction crews tackled their next big challenge, the towers. First, the foundations are built. At shore, they will be huge, larger than any other bridge foundations built before them. 1.5 times bigger than a football field. Crews start the foundations by laying down a dense base of steel reinforcement bars. It takes 4 million pounds of rebar to make the framework for just one tower foundation. Now comes the concrete. Nearly 5 million gallons of the stuff, but there is a problem. Crews cannot simply pour it on. The dense web of rebar interferes with the flow and creates air pockets. Workers must force huge vibrating wands deep into the wet concrete. This compacts the concrete, making it stronger. At this stage, the foundation looks like an enormous flying saucer. If only it could fly. It has grown too heavy to lift. How can crews move it out of dry dock? Building an earthquake-proof bridge in Greece presents a relentless series of challenges. Virtually every step requires ingenious solutions. The bridge foundation alone weighs a staggering 140 million pounds. Much too heavy to lift it off dry land. So engineers designed this colossal structure with 32 air compartments. Incredibly, it can float. The construction area is flooded, and the foundation does float. But to move it takes an engine with 25,000 horsepower. They bring in an icebreaker from Norway. One thing's for sure, people aren't used to seeing an icebreaker in Greek waters. The foundation extends 40 feet underwater. Now comes the real challenge. It needs to grow into a tower, 745 feet tall. But if workers had continued building in the shallow dry dock, the foundation would weigh too much. It would be like an ocean liner stuck on a sandbar. They will have to build the tower while it is floating. The foundation is moored in very deep water. Construction continues. Endless cement trucks, barges of supplies,